Hello, ladies. Thank you for clicking on the video. I have a word for you today, okay? We're going to be talking about the nuances of men. I want to do a little series on that because, well, just because, and because I want to help, but also because I think that there are a lot of things that we say in the leveled up community, the women's community. I know we don't consider ourselves a community necessarily because there's no official, I'm saying, name for it other than women in general. But I guarantee you the things that I talk about here, every woman will be able to say that she has experienced. Okay. Um, so I would say that there are things that we say and that they're like sayings and whatnot. But I believe that the last generations have not done well because there hasn't been enough explaining. So to some women, what I'm going to be saying is going to be preaching to the choir, some of the subjects. But because I'm going off of experience, my own experiences, as well as things that I've seen around, you might end up hearing like a gem or two. So I wouldn't just cut it off because, I may be dealing with something elementary. There are women out here that definitely need those elementary lessons. And there's nothing wrong with that because, like I said, nobody has been explaining. So we're going to talk about the nuances of men, okay? So today's nuance is something that I have experienced. And basically, it comes from the saying, men play off of your emotions, or even in general, people play off your emotions. But I'm going to use men in this case because that's what we're talking about. I'm talking to you ladies that are leveling up, doing your thing, out here dating. This is stuff you need to know and want to know. So, what I've noticed in my travels is that this whole play on emotions at elementary level, I used to believe that this meant that if you got emotional, that men would take advantage, period. So you're sad, they may try to, get in, depending on who they are in your life. Like if they're just one of your, friend zone guys that are just waiting for a chance, you may see some of them try to come around the bend when you're having a really sad moment. And that's a small offense. It's a small offense. I'll just say that unless they're just disgusting with it, it's pretty, minor. But what I'm going to be talking about is those men who play off of your traumas, okay? So, one thing that women need to understand, a lot of women, I'm going to just say it like this, baby. He did it on purpose, okay? He did it on purpose. When you get that through your head, this will be a lot easier. There are men out here, and not just men, the whole entire world. We all have people that end up the punchlines of jokes, okay? And or attributes about people that ends up the punchlines of jokes. And we all have heard the jokes, we've seen the memes, we know the punchlines, and these men know the punchlines too. So because we live in a patriarchal system that tries to rank women, based on their beauty attributes, different things you could probably think of yourself. You have to understand that men are a lot more visual, right? And this might seem elementary, but when I get into explaining this, you're going to see that it's way more than just, oh, they think something is pretty. They want to, you know, do it, for lack of better words. They want to do something with it, okay? That's not what I mean here. When I say that men are visual, I mean they are highly observant. So do this as a mental exercise when you get a chance. Go on to these live streaming platforms and listen to men talk about different subjects. What I want you to note is the amount of details that they give when they're talking about people and even some things. Sometimes you may not look up and hear a man talking about a woman in particular, but you may just hear him talking about something else. And I just want you to note how many details that he gives, as well as how descriptive he is with those details, because that'll let you know that it's not just a pretty versus ugly thing, a big boobs versus little boobs thing. It's not. Both of those images, pretty and ugly, is intriguing to the masculine mind. And what ends up happening is, it's not like the feminine mind, or the when we were young, I'm gonna say the young feminine mind, the one that they try to program into us using Prince Charmings and real cute little singers and songwriters and pop stars and these types of things, to make us program us to want a pretty man. you know that most times when a woman is unattracted to something, I don't even want to use a man, because it could be anything that a woman is unattracted to. Usually it'll give you an ick factor, if you're well tuned with your intuition and whatnot, because when a woman's not, because when she's not getting the ick from the things she's supposed to be getting the ick from, and when I say that, I'm talking about people who abandon their children or do like very, you know, out of the box things as women that are not common for women. Those women are not experiencing the ick they're supposed to experience to stop them from behaving in those manners. Right? So this is the example of the ick. What I'm trying to tell you is that men do not receive that same type of ick all the time just because they encounter something unattractive. Now, a healthy man, like a mentally healthy man, will get the ick factor from certain things out in the world and stop him from doing certain behaviors. But when it comes to sex, when it comes to women and these types of things, men are more curious than before they get the ick. They're attracted to most things sexual. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's very important. Back in the day, people were talking about how, certain channels and children's stuff had little sexual innuendos, because I believe that, some of it was targeted towards male children. But some of it was also targeted towards female children. So it depends on what we're talking about. But that's why that's really important too. But moving on from that, because that's a way tangent, I just want to say that we need to understand that when a man is in our presence, right, whether he's attracted to us or not, he is curious. And a lot of times he wants to have access to us, even if he is not. So he may use what he quote unquote knows about you, aka the triggers that have been set forth by media, by social media, and by, the jokes and punchlines that we hear on a daily basis. And let's say he's around women that he feels like should feel less attractive, heavier set women, darker skinned women, women with short hair, women with a lot of piercings, women with a lot of tattoos, whatever he deems, right? Because this doesn't mean one group or one set. There's a lot of different sets and depending on the man, he's ranking them in his own head, right? But that doesn't mean that he's so icked out that he wouldn't want to at least experience, just to have the experience, because he's so curious. But this is something that he may do. Like, as an example, if you're around the type of man who's treating you like this, right? Because he ultimately isn't attracted to you, but he just wants access. You'll have, for example, a man using his presence as a tool. Men believe that certain women don't even really get much attention from men. So in this case, he feels like all he has to do is be around. Y'all may have really weird small talk about nothing, or y'all may have small talk that where you ask him about his life, but he never asked you about your life. And these are things you want to pay attention to, because this is a sign that he's trying to trigger you by giving you a little bit of attention here and there and put the carrot out in front of your face. But he definitely wants you to feel like it's unreachable so that you may continuously chase for it or even start to chase for it. And this is why I'm calling it the nuances, because these are very small little things that happen in the details of a situation. So, for example, if he puts this carrot in front of your face and then so he shows up, let's say you work with him and he shows up and he gives you short bursts of attention, little small talk here and there, but he doesn't really stick around for long. But you still see him being very conversive with other people and other women and sticking around them longer. 9 times out of the 10, he's not really attracted to you. Like you're not his dream girl, but he definitely wants to have your attention, but he doesn't want to give you his attention. So he's trying to basically make it to where you're always seeking him. So then you walk up to him sometimes and start having conversations with him. You have to understand that you're not dealing with a genuine person at this point. When you walk up to him and have conversations, he will be clocking the subject matter. He will be clocking how many times you walk up to him and try to have a conversation with him. And I guarantee you, while you're trying to talk to him, he will be walking away. Or sometimes when you're getting into, like, coming into the same area he's in, he'll be walking away because he's trying to create this subconscious mental chase. Some men do it very nuanced, especially if they just so happen to be in your presence, like as in you're not walking past them in the grocery store per se, this is your place of work or the place where you go to school, or if you're, in some type of organization together or whatever, you all may experience this because he has no choice but to be around you. So therefore, he can't just disappear per se, but he can kind of create this mental chase because, y'all are not talking on the phone necessarily. So this is the easiest way to basically ghost you or leave you on red or have you waiting. Like, it's very symbolic, right? So if he's doing this to you, remember, like, this guy is not very attracted to you. So he's going to be trying to find ways to kind of keep you in this space, but at the same time, go do whatever he's trying to do. And this is actually an indication for the relationship too. You definitely don't want to be in a relationship with this kind of guy because he's going to do the same thing during the relationship too. He's going to dangle carrots in front of your face, especially if he feels like you are not up to par or you're not the type of woman he would choose anyway. I'm talking about you, men who say you're pretty for a black girl, those types of men, okay? They know how to keep you in a chase mode, and they do it and y'all may think I'm just being paranoid, but I promise you that y'all have experienced this. Try it out. Just observe the men that you're around, clock it, and see if I'm telling the truth. So this is just the first nuance, or this is just one nuance that I want to talk about. And you know what I'm saying? Some of these men are bold with it, and they will even just make fun of you using the things that they believe will trigger you. That's also an indicator that this is that type of guy. Okay. And so how do you flip the script on them? Basically, you ignore them. You ignore them. They come up to you, they talk. You can be social and, have the little small talk. Sometimes when they come up to you and say something, don't say anything at all back, especially if they're just making a statement. You don't always have to respond. Sometimes just be quiet and see what they do. Do that. Always keep your mind on you. Don't keep walking up to this man and trying to have a conversation with him because he's being socially awkward on purpose. He's trying to make you feel awkward on purpose. He wants you to feel like nervous to talk to him, etc., etc. Don't do that. Just ignore him and let him come up to you as normal, as Shira always tells us. But yeah, that's all I want to say about this subject. I do not want to beat it into the ground. I think you all may be able to deduce, your own scenarios from this, but I will be back with another. Definitely hit that like, definitely hit the subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.